You're the guy people call when they need a helping hand, moving furniture, unloading a truck. But lately, your shoulder's been acting up, and you're the one who's calling for help. And that's the moment you realize you can no longer shoulder the load.
The Joint and Spine Center is Cincinnati's leading destination for orthopedic care with a range of surgical and non-surgical treatments. So when a moment has the power to change the rest of your life, go to the one place with the power to change it for the better, the Christ Hospital Health Network. This changes everything.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 592, Getting Stuck in the Past with guest Josh Garrett.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I'm Amanda Valentine, returning guest Josh Garrett. Hi, Josh.
How are you?
I'm doing.
I think that's everybody.
Along, right?
Everybody right now. It's just like, yeah, I woke up today.
Right. And I mean, as we're recording this, it's like election week too, which is like, even as much as I've been avoiding the news and just trying not to know things and just whatever, it just feels like no matter what your stake in the game of the election is, it just feels like it just grinds you down of like, oh my God, it's just in the air, just exhaustion.
Yes. Everyone is just mentally fatigued.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's just, can't give me more excited for Thanksgiving come up of like, can we do, and I guess we have to worry about COVID. Not just worry about eating. Nothing could just be relaxing.
It'll get there.
I know.
It'll pass.
So as we're recording this, I didn't even tell you about the topic that I wanted to talk about.
Can't wait.
Which is awesome. But before I do that, I have my little book because I love using my little book on you.
Even more.
If the questions for the game of life, which feel free to throw one on me if you want to. Like it doesn't have to be one-sided. I can improv, Josh. So give me a page number between 1 and 129.
42.
Oh, okay. Going with some even numbers. 42. Oh, this is the first thing. If you could ask God any single question, what would it be?
Oh, man.
That's a deep one. That's what she said.
If you could ask God, say it again.
If you could ask God any single question, what would it be?
Man.
Or do you want me to give you an easier one? There's an easier one on this page.
Yeah,
I'll give you an out.
That one's so deep. I mean, it'd be like, I guess my question would be, what is the purpose of all of this?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the purpose of all of this is this. It's life, it's learning, it's going through it. So then maybe it would be like, what does come after this?
Oh, yeah. Like what happens when you die?
Yeah. Like,
unless he's like, want to find out? Snap.
Right. Fast forward.
But I have to ask the second one now that we're here. If you had to be someone's body part, what would you be? And on whose body?
Yeah, that's my question to you. You said I could flip it. So.
Oh, man, that is a good question.
Yeah, right? I'm not answering that.
If you had to be someone's body part, what would you be and on whose body? Because that's a good question. Because would I choose a man or a woman? Because I guess first instinct would be to be a man because I don't know what that feels like personally.
I would not want to be a woman.
No?
You guys take a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you guys go through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, right? I mean, fair. That is a good question.
Someone else's brain.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, can you choose that? Is that considered a body part? Right. Or are we thinking like an outside body part? There's ways you could break this down. But I also don't know if I'd want to be someone really smart's brain either because that's pain. Like I guess I'd rather be somebody that's just totally stupid because then it's just kind of like, whatever. It feels like life would be easier if you were dumber. Is that a wrong assumption?
It's a harsh statement.
No, I mean, I'm just saying if you're just kind of like...
Yeah, I mean
maybe dumb's not what I'm thinking
simple.
of. Yes,
more of like,
simple. Like I'm not worrying about what's life's purpose.
Yeah,
if you're worrying about
right.
what's life's purpose, then it's painful because you don't have the answer and you spin. But
yes,
if you don't,
yes, that is true.
but if you don't care, like not necessarily say dumb, if just kind of like you're just kind of floating along and bopping along, that just seems easier than to worry about that
like
kind of crap you don't have answers to.
like
Like what's on other planets? I don't know. Why am I thinking about this?
A monk's brain, that would be kind of cool, right? Like somebody that's already went through the transition, the learning, going through the process of like, what does this all mean? Why are we doing this? And then realizing that it's just about the day to day and being present as possible. And
but just leapfrog into somebody that already did the work.
Like, right. 20 years you've already done that. Awesome.
Yeah. Like I want the magic pill to lose weight. I just want can I just jump into a monk a brain? Okay.
Yeah,
Did you want to ask me another question? Or do you feel satisfied with my answer with that? Because I feel like we kind of walked through that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was a good one. Because I think that instantly, I know my brain went to like, is that a sexual question? Right?
Yeah,
like,
no, it doesn't have to be though.
Right. And then you like think through it and it's like, oh.
Okay. Then bouncing off this. Then what is, so out of like, obviously you are interested in females. That is your sexual preference.
I should have just let it go, huh?
Nope, you didn't. But this isn't going to be a dirty question. So outside of your, the standard answers of what you're sexually attracted to a person, like you think like boobs, butt, sort of stuff like that.
Right.
What's a unique part of a female that you're attracted to?
Driven.
I didn't even say personality traits.
Okay.
But okay. So driven goes into the personality trait. Just on the body though. Is there like just a non-classical answer? Like I like a woman with a big nose or something, like a non-classically
this is going to be
not
horrible.
boobs butt thing. No, it's not.
Like,
not if it's true.
Like good posture. Like the wedding pictures that females do where they dump their shoulder like all the way in, that just it's like that doesn't go there. Put that back where it belongs.
I mean, that almost goes into any sort of posed female photo then, because everybody's kind of like popping the leg, popping the knee, getting up on the toes, trying to look skinny, popping the butt. Like you have to contort yourself. And I'd say I'd say a lot of women do that for photos for social media.
Right.
Which is probably not correct posture.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I mean, I don't think that people should walk around with perfect posture all the time, but I think
you appreciate it.
Right. Because it shows me that they've worked at it. I don't think that no human has perfect posture unless they've put a lot of effort and attention into it.
Yeah.
So it shows me that individual's driven, they're detail oriented, they're focused, they don't just kind of go through life and, well, it just is what it is. My shoulders are, my back is killing me and but I think that's a lot of my own past.
No, I mean, that's an interesting take. That is not an answer I would have expected.
Right.
Like, I feel like even though my answer to that isn't like your basic sort of like, I like a nice ass, or, I want this dude to have pecs or something like that. Or even the like, just the smile or eyes. It's the window to the soul. Like this, I feel like this is also kind of a bland answer, but it's also my answer, so it doesn't make it wrong. Is I just like hands and forearms, like not even like biceps, of just kind of like, I guess it kind of just speaks to a kind of person too. Is like if they're fit or if they're a hard worker or something like that, of somebody that just kind of has that like
strong grip.
Yeah, just like strong, but it doesn't necessarily mean bodybuilder, but like you can just kind of see that in like a forearm hand sort of thing.
Yeah.
Of I guess like on the same side of posture as it kind of just shows a character sort of thing.
So my uncle has...
Oh, which uncle?
My uncle, the guy who helped me with building stuff in the gym, he's got mallets for hands. Like he's the guy that when you try to like beat him in a handshake, he just crushes you every time. And it's like, stop.
Yeah, we're just like the big meat hook hands. But I think that's different too, because again, that's not what I'm saying is attractive. Like, doesn't necessarily just have to be you have big hands. I don't know. It's a weird thinking.
It's your own thing.
I know.
It's your thing.
I have really peculiar taste in the first place.
Yeah. When you see it, you're like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, like that looks good.
Thing.
I'm into that. So the topic I wanted to talk to you about, because you and I hung out last week, not recording a podcast, and this is a topic that came up where I feel like that I'm going through something that I felt was relatable to you in a new way. So I wanted to have a discussion, basically, instead of like, hey, what's the best way to work out your arms and kind of stuff like that we usually do, is basically getting hung up on the past. Because we were discussing, which I want to explain now, that not to say like, oh, Josh is hung up on the past, but this is where I feel like I have a new way to relate to this that I've never had before. Because for me, I never had anything to look back to. I was never an athlete. I never participated in sports. I didn't have a rockin' bod in high school or in college or when I was younger, and then had kids or whatever, fell out, and then like had to try to get this body back.
Right.
So I never was like lamenting the fact of like, oh my God, look at me in high school. Like, oh, why can't I get back to that? For me, it was always like I was always moving forward. Everything was full steam ahead. There was nothing to look back on. There was only room for improvement in my mind. There was nothing that I looked back and wished that I could have had that. It was always like, oh my God, I never thought I could run, and I'm a runner. Oh my God, I never thought I could lift, and I'm a lifter.
Yeah.
And it was just nothing but all these new things. And so being where I've been in the past couple years is, I feel like for me, I was firing on all cylinders in all aspects of my life, specifically the year 2017. My career was everything I ever asked for. I was doing awesome. Where I was physically was the best shape I had ever been in, ever before, like as far as my weight, as far as how I looked and how I felt in my own body, which I feel like is the most important, as far as my strength goes and all of that. And then just through a series of many events that I'm not going to get into on this podcast at the moment, everything kind of started falling apart for various different ways. And, you've met me in late 2018. You already kind of saw me kind of tail spinning out a little bit.
Right.
And so for me now, especially after this year of, battling with some depression, dealing with this stupid pinched nerve in my back, of having to stop working out. My body's broken. I feel like it's just been me running uphill in mud.
Right.
That I'm now can't stop looking back to those things that worked for me, of like, well, oh my God, I felt so awesome right then. And keep trying to do those same things that worked then, which I know so many people like on weight loss journeys of like, I know when I ate no carbs 2 years ago, I lost weight. So I'm going to eat no carbs now. And then when it's not working and you're just banging your head in the wall, you're like, what's wrong with me? Yep. And so I just like, it's a new level of this journey that I hadn't experienced of. I'm not used to looking backwards. I'm always just used to looking forwards. And I hate that I can't break out of this. Stop looking backwards, Amanda. Damn it. We're looking forwards. We're on. Things have changed. Let's move forward. And that's so much of the discussion that I've had with you before, because you've hurt your back and you played football and you were an athlete, and like how much, I don't know. It just, for me, it feels like a new way to relate to you. And like, how do you deal with that whenever you can't stop looking backwards of like, for you, I know, and I don't want to speak for you. I'm going to let you speak here in a second, of just kind of like, I want to come in and do these deadlifts and I want to crush, but I hurt my back, and how that exercise has changed now versus what has worked for you past and the thing that you loved.
Yeah. Wow. That's a deep one.
That's what she said.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just going to keep coming full circle. So I think the hardest thing for me was just checking my ego. It's like we have this idea of what it is that we should be, that we should do, and how we get from point A to point B, and that game plan that worked for us to get that body, that rockin' bod, the accelerated career goals that we had, when we felt like we were on top of the world. It's like, well, then we go in the other side of it and we go in the ebb and flow of things and we start to go downhill, and it's like, whoa, now how do I get back up to where I was? But you don't want to go back up to that mountaintop or that peak. You have to look forward to the next peak that you're going to create, right? So like, I can't work out the way that I did in my 20s to get to where I was at the end of my 20s because I'm no longer in my 20s, right? So I have to develop this game plan of, okay, well, how am I going to work in my 30s to get to whatever that end point of winning, whatever that looks like at the end of my 30s, and then go, I'm sure that when I hit 40, there's going to be other things that pop up. You know, as your body ages, we're going to have different ailments, different aches, different pains, different recovery levels. And we're just going to have to continue to manipulate those variables to create whatever game plan that we need from there to go forward into whatever our next level of success is. And just, you know, kind of just keep chipping at it day to day and stop. I could have done this. I should have done that.
Yeah.
Damn it. I know what to do, but well, you knew what to do. You don't know what to do now, because now when you do what it is that you think you knew what to do, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And that was a hard one for me to swallow, because it's like, that means I have to learn a lot more things. And, you know, for me, I mean, I could go into the whole depth of what I had to learn, but it started with going back to breathing. And like, what? What do you mean I can't breathe properly? You know, and we've talked about that many of times. And then it was the just learning your body and learning how to move your body and how to sit and doing the day-to-day activities that you do. You could be screwing your body up, you know? Okay, cool. You're hyper-focused in the gym for an hour on perfect form, but then your form shit the rest of the 23 hours in the world. It's not going to balance itself out. You know, you got to think about the things that you're doing in your day-to-day activities that could be jeopardizing your posture. If it is injuries that you're talking about, or if you want to talk about that variable being, you know, weight loss, well, what are you doing in your day-to-day that you're eating that isn't helping you get to your goals, right? Like that kind of thing. So I think it's just, it's a hard one.
Yeah, because this is where it sucks, is because on paper, and you can say those things, and it's like, you know, that's the answer. Like, you're smart enough, like you understand, like I can say, yes, I know I can't go run half marathons anymore. That's what I did, and I really like doing it, and I can't do it anymore. I understand that. Like, I understand I need to find something else. But when your heart and your emotions go into it, it's like, it's just torture sometimes. And it's like, and it just feels like because you have to start over again and you're learning in a different way, but it's like, but you loved that other thing. And it's almost like you have to mourn it too. So you have to mourn it while you're trying to rebirth the new thing. And so that's where it's just kind of like, I wanted to talk about this because it feels like I don't hear anybody talking about this. You know what I mean? Of like, is like, that's what's hard. It's easy to be like, well, if you had no carb and that worked, and now, you know, just try it again. No, if that doesn't work, well, then try something different. Well, like, okay, yeah, thanks. But that doesn't take away how hard it is, because it sucks.
Yep. In this, start this, try this, do that, you know, and then it goes into, are you giving it enough time to see if it's working for you? You know, so there's the learning curve of the new thing. You know, you start this new thing, you give it 60, 90 days. Okay, that hasn't worked. Well, so in theory, you can try 4 things a year and hope that one of those works for you. But if it doesn't, now you've taken a year and you gotta just keep trying to figure it out until it gets to the point where, you know, I think what we believe in that moment helps us solidify the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if this is gonna work for me, and you give 80 to 100% on that, it's probably gonna work for you.
Yeah.
You know, but if it doesn't, be intelligent enough to look in the mirror and say, this isn't working. And it's okay. It doesn't have, there's not one way to do anything, right? Like everybody has this like, well, show me what perfect is and I'll go do that. Nobody knows what perfect is. So you got to figure out what works for you, right? What makes you happy? If it's that you love to run and you're injured right now and you can't run, that doesn't mean that you can never run again. It just means not right now.
Yeah.
You need to relearn your body until you're capable of doing that. Now, you might not ever be able to run again. And then that goes into like what you were saying. You got to mourn that and just accept it or not.
Yeah.
Then that goes back into the head of if you don't want to accept it, don't accept it and keep working to try to get a different response from it.
Yeah. I will say from going through this in my own personal end that it, as I've been especially frustrated this year. And I wrote down and I'm like, well, let's focus on some things that you did that are good. And I actually wrote down like half a legal pad, which more than I thought I was.
Right.
And one of those things was, I'm like, I'm not giving up. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I will say this about myself in every aspect of life. Like, you knock me down, I'm going to get back up. And so it's like, yes, it's frustrating. Am I where I want to be at this moment? No. But am I still fighting for it? Hell yeah, I am. And I am trying to find different ways. And I am doing that stuff. And I mean, like in the time you've known me, I feel like you've seen me do that. It's like, try this, dead end. Well, okay, we'll try something else, dead end of like, I'm like, man, at least I'm persistent. And I'm like, and so I feel like that's, there's two choices you can take there of like not going to accept no for an answer. You're going to find whatever works, whatever's going to happen, how much it sucks, how many times you get punched in the face that you don't quit the fight. You're Rocky. Or you are just like, F it, it's not worth it, and just let it go.
Right.
And I don't think either choice is good or bad. It's up to the person how they behave for it. But for me, I'm choosing to be proud of the fact that like I won't be knocked down for long. I'll get back up. You
persevere. Yeah. I mean, you're resilient. Those are all, and I think that another layer to this, and there's so many layers to this, like this is a very deep conversation. But your mental aspect is one of it. And then how you talk to yourself, right? Like we beat ourselves up so much.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it. I know the majority of clients that I train are guilty of it. We yell at ourselves for not being what it is that perfect looks like to us. Mm-hmm. We would never talk to anybody else the way that we talk to ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you, like you said, you just write down the good things, the good qualities that you have. You wrote down half a legal pad of good qualities that you wouldn't think that you would have. It's the same with like the end of your day, right? If you just wrote down like, what made this a good day?
Yeah.
You can find something that made it a good day, right? Or you could look at it in the other light and go, well, what made this a bad day?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like whatever you focus on is what you get. And that's where it can get into the deep part of it. But I think the brain has such power over the body in the mental aspect of it. And that's where if like you're really, I'm going to figure out what is going on with my back. And I feel like I have a really good handle on it, and knock on wood, my back hasn't hurt for a while, but it's not, some people don't have that. Some people just, they go and they get the surgery and they feel fine afterwards. And that's awesome. I wasn't going to go down that path, and it's not, and just like you said, there's not a right and a wrong. It's just different flavors for different people.
So do you find yourself, do you like look back at the past and get hung up on that at all? Or do you feel like you're mostly looking forward?
Yeah. Some day to day, right?
Yeah.
like some days you come in and it's like, especially with the climate that is going on in the environment and everyone's just kind of like on edge. It's really, really easy to focus on all the negatives that are going on.
Especially after this year of just kind of like, again, it makes you mad at yourself that you didn't appreciate the life that we had before COVID. Yeah. I didn't realize how much I would just miss these little things about life from 2019. And like, it just even that, take health and fitness out of it, of how much you're like, I didn't realize how much I just love going to a concert. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or just things like that. Just those, like for me, I'm like, I didn't realize how much I miss just like being in a workplace and talking to somebody on my way out of the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like the little parts of life that I think that we're all kind of
take for granted,
mourning and frustrating. And it's like, but we can't bring 2019 back anymore. Right. We have to look forward, whatever that means. So like, who knows what we're walking into, but we can't walk back. Yep. So it just feels like but it's just so hard not to. It's like it's like your head just wants to keep turning that way. And you're like, have to like crank your nose. We're not going that way.
And I think bringing it back to the if questions, if we could just be a monk and just live in the present, I think I think there's a lot to that. It's way harder to do than to just intellectually, we all get that.
Yeah. So what practices are you putting in place to try to do that?
Just
you, Josh Garrett, as a person.
To be present, I mean, that's like one of my big goals. The traits that I want to work on is just, I'm here with you right now doing this podcast. Stop thinking about everything else. Yeah. Live here, and that's not, I'm not going to be perfect at it. I'm not going to do it 100% of the time. That's okay. Yeah. Give yourself that leeway. But, the more I think we can be present, the more we can take action. And then the more action that we take, the better we feel. And action doesn't mean doing something. Right? The action may be resting, relaxing, whatever. But if you're going to rest and relax. Don't check your phone 800 times. Yeah. Don't think about the 8 million things that you could be doing. It's, again, way easier to talk about than to actually implement. But I think that if we, wake up and try to tell ourselves that more often than not, we'll achieve that life, so to speak. Whereas if we go and we wake up and it's so reactive and this sucks and blah blah blah, COVID and the election and blah 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 blah, and I'm guilty of it. I mean, I think we all are, and that's fine, but I just think it's just kind of taking that perception and that shift and just trying to bring yourself back into the present.
I think an analogy that I liked, which I'm probably still going to screw this up. I'm pretty sure where I caught this was a guest on the 10% Happier podcast, which is about mindfulness and meditation, was if you're not mindful in the moment, it's like you're sending an email without an attachment. Like if you're doing the dishes, you should be like, even then, like if your mind is floating somewhere else, that email's empty. Like you're not taking in what that moment is. And if you're trying to relay that to somebody else, like you weren't in that moment, there's no attachment. Like you're just sending endless, empty, useless emails unless you have the moment, like it's in your brain, just as a easier way to understand it. And so, but it's such a practice. It's hard to be like, even doing tasks like the dishes. You're not worried about what else you have to do and what else is going on the day of like, sponge on plate, circle, circle, circle. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Of like, I am here in this moment and we're going to go into like some, Buddhist stuff here.
You can go deep with this.
Yeah. Of like that really nothing else exists other than this moment. If you think about it, if you want to take that angle of it of like, so, but it's so hard to just be just here right now. We're not worried about who we were in the past or who we're going to be in a half hour from now.
What can I control?
Yeah.
I can control this, one foot in front of the other. That gets you to the top of the mountain.
But I think it's also, not only is it just hard for human nature to do that, but we're also like living in a world, speaking of the election and stuff like that, where we're surrounded by media of all sorts of things that want us to live in the future and what's going to happen and all of this, and it's not putting us in the present moment. So we're being so super trained to not just be right here, right now. It's scrolling. What else are other people doing on social media? What should I be doing? Yep. It's not like right here, right now. But it's so hard.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the blessings and the curses of COVID. Was it just smacked us right in the face with that conversation, right? It took all the distractions away, and it was like, nope, here you go, own it. And it made you look in the mirror, and it was and is really hard for a lot of people, and I think we just need to accept it. COVID's not going anywhere. This is our new reality. We have to adapt. That's what we do as a human species. Like we get obstacles or challenges that we are faced with, and we learn from them, and we adapt, and we become better, and we evolve. And it's just, but yeah, the media, and there's so many things that you could look at and go, ugh, but blah 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 blah. It's shifting your focus and just
And to hop off of that and to bring it full circle, is that with things like COVID, to bring back the point of it kind of smacked you in the face and been like, make you appreciate what you do have and what you're missing, of like learn the lesson from it instead of constantly being in pain of, oh, I miss just being able to go see my grandparents without any fear.
Yeah.
And to be like, okay, I learned this lesson. Don't take those things for granted. And same thing of, oh, I can't run anymore. This sucks. I hate this. Of like, well, the lesson is don't beat up your body so you aren't stripped of the things that you love.
Exactly.
Take better care of yourself and appreciate that you're able to do those things instead of hammering it so hard. And so, again, it's just those lessons that aren't fun or easy to take, but it's like you almost need that kick to the face in whatever way, to whether your body breaks down or you gain a bunch of weight back, or COVID hits and a global pandemic or whatever it is. It's to be like, okay, well, stop being in pain from it, quit feeling bad for yourself. Now it's time to do something about it, of what's the lesson in this instead of why is this happening to me.
Or if you are feeling bad about it, that's where you're supposed to be right now.
Yeah, just own it, feel it, feel it out and fully feel it. And whenever you're done fully feeling it, then
take action.
What did you learn from it? Do you just want to do nothing now? I mean, that's fine. Or do you want to be like, I got to figure something else out? Like, it's just.
So it's you. You're the only one that's going to be able to answer that question. I can't answer the questions for others. As much as I wish there was a book that said, Josh Garrett, here's exactly what your life should be. Yeah. And I could just flip through the pages and be like, all right, cool, I know what's coming. It doesn't exist. We got to do with the information that we're given today and try to make the best choices and just be happy.
I had a conversation before I came in here with a friend who's frustrated with a work situation that they're in. And it's because of other people, of like, this sucks because of this. I'm like, you got to this is you. Yeah. And I'm like, ultimately, like, you can't control the actions of other people. You can control you, and you have to control your own happiness. So it's like.
So is that something that I feel like that's a very good quality that you have. And obviously this is going to could go into a lengthy conversation, but is that something that you felt like you've always had as a trait, or is it something that you developed over time through your journey of losing weight?
What trait?
Just the ability to own it, right? Like, you're very good at like, nope, this is me. This is my issue. I have to work through this.
I'd say that is a learned trait. I'd say a lot of things about me. I just say so much of my life I've just numbed out from. Yeah. And not that I was placing blame on other people or whatever. It's just that I was just kind of, I'd say a lot when I was younger. This is going to be hard to answer.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just that I feel like a coping mechanism for me has always been like, lock it up, bury it, don't deal with it.
Okay.
So I feel like that is how, and I just didn't come to terms with even just a lot of parts of like who I am as a person, even some of the people around me. It's just because that was what I learned at a very young age, is lock this up, bury it.
Yeah.
Don't ever look at it again if it hurts. And so I feel like through my process, especially my weight loss journey, because it's so much more than just losing weight. Right. I think that one of the reasons that really, which I do want to get into this when I'm in a better place to kind of fully talk about everything, is that why I think that weight loss worked for me in the journey that I'm on currently, that's been like 9 years long, of why things started working after years of just yo-yo dieting and stuff, is because I made the decision I was going to start kind of unearthing some of these boxes a little bit and take a little bit of ownership of them, of like, no, this is who I really am, and not, I know this is so vague, of creating versions of myself that I wish I was. Like, I wish I was this person, so I'm going to try to like write a script for myself and live this. And so it's like, but that's not real, and it's very unfulfilling, and nothing ever works the way I want it to, because I'm not living me.
So you got to kind of like uncover the script to figure out what the real quote unquote script is. And the script's constantly evolving and changing, and you're morphing and making it your own.
And that's and then taking those ugly things and being like, the only way there's any resolution is to look them head on and face it.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Yes. And I'm doing that a whole lot this year with a therapist. Like, I already was doing a lot of it. I was only doing it mostly on my own. And I feel like I, lost weight, I became a healthier person, was living the life that I wanted to live. For the most part, but it's still just like, I could see old patterns in me that I'm like, it's not going to fix unless I face it head on. It's like, all right, well, you just got to hop in front of the train, because it's the only way to get through this. And so, so it's all just been a learning part of my journey. And so for me now, like, I just feel like I want to be the person of like, I want to take ownership if I screw up. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, this is so-and-so's fault, or find a million. If they'll be like, if I did it, I'm going to own it. Because if I don't own it, I'm lying to myself, and that's going to live inside of me. And that's more painful to me than the person I'm lying to.
Then you just own it.
And so it's just like, no, I screwed up. I'm human. I'm sorry. This was terrible. Like, but it's like, I have to take ownership for my own crap. Not saying I do 100%, I'm not a monk.
Right.
But for me, I just feel like that. And so and I've also learned that too, with, having to work in so many, my whole job has always been on team shows with radio. I've been on the air by myself, but I like being better with a person. I like having these conversations with me and you better than I like just me talking by myself.
Right.
And so, but that means compromise. That's a relationship. That's, learning how to, you have to deal with each other in a really close one-on-one way. And that's been a big learning process for me too, of like, or owning up to things and where I screwed up, and like, and learning from that, and from dealing with other people, and also seeing other people of like, I can't depend, if you're going to take from that angle, from a work angle, from like a radio show, I can't be like, my show sucks, it's because of this person. It's all their fault, because nothing's ever going to get fixed. All I'm doing is pointing a finger. It's making me feel like garbage. I'm sure it's making them feel like garbage. So it's like, I have to take ownership for my own happiness here. And so it's like, well, if the situation sucks, I can do the best I can, and anything outside of that, I can't do. Instead of sitting here being pissed, I got to do what's best for me, which I was telling you the advice I gave the person I was talking to today. It's like, you have to have some happiness of your own. You can't depend it on other people. And that's a really hard lesson to learn. And I just feel like that's because of me just doing years of having, I've just basically worked in a 20-year team project, and everybody hates team projects.
It's
so I don't know. Did that answer your question?
It did.
It's just a lot of, life lessons. And I just feel like, I'm a forever student of life, and for the good and for the bad. And for me too, and I know we've gone like super off topic, I guess, but I've learned to live outside of my comfort zone. Like, I feel like I always have one boot on my own ass of like, oh, you don't want to do this? This seems scary. Do it.
Yeah. What was it? What you have like that quote thing that you've said before?
I'm like, if it makes me feel like I want to throw up, it means I should do it.
Yes.
Because the best things happen when you push yourself. Like it's like, I wasn't always like that. I have been to a degree, but not like the way that I am now of like, I don't know. There's so many, you've seen me. A good example is, I've been a public speaker forever, but I'm like naturally introverted.
Yeah.
And so that's a boot on my own ass, where like when I spoke at that Cincy State of Being thing to pull you into it. So they had like a bunch of speakers to speak on like their journeys and stuff like that. And if you weren't Josh, you would have seen me gone up there and just done this speech and get back down.
Yeah.
But you, like you saw, I was like ready to throw up. Yeah. I like was just ready to just like run out the building. I want to just go run into traffic. Like, and I've been doing this my whole life, but every time I do that, I am scared to death. I am like, I want to throw up. I want to run away. And I'm like, this is good for you. Yeah. Do it.
You just got to embrace the suck.
Right? And it's like, you're not going to get any better at it if you don't. And it's important because every time I've pushed myself, like in that, let's just use that particular example, that I've pushed myself through that. When I got back down off the stage, people come up to me like, oh my God, I feel the same way. Thanks for saying that out loud. Like, oh, that, you know, and then not that I'm just like fueled fully off of compliments, but it's like, it was a worthy venture because it meant something to someone. Sure. It meant something to me. I'm pushing past stuff. I'm moving forward. I'm trying to better myself. And it helps other people by me pushing past that to speak. Yep. And so that's, you know, just when you kind of see I've seen like glimmers of that in my life. So I'll push myself towards those things. Would have been hella comfortable for me to stay in my radio job that I was offered to stay in. Yes, it would have been much easier.
Right.
In certain aspects of my life. But it's like, if I don't try this jump and do this thing that's like this like little red coal living inside of me, either it works or it doesn't. There's only one way to find out. It's scary. Go, bitch.
Yeah, right? Yep. I think that just to kind of bring it full circle is you can put any variable in that situation, and that is the part that people don't embrace, right? Like if your journey is weight loss and you're starting and it's gonna suck, you just got to embrace it, right? Like if you're going through an injury, you got to stop doing what's making you get injured. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
Embrace it. You know, if you're just starting lifting weights, you're going to be sore. It's going to suck. Embrace it.
Yeah.
You know, you could just put any variable in there. And I think that we just need to, you know, embrace that journey, because once we get through or hit whatever goal we hit, then we're going to set another goal, and that's what makes us stronger and gives us more fulfillment, I guess.
I think too, and a lesson that again, intellectually I know until you start living in it and struggling in it, is know that there's going to be valleys with the peaks.
Right.
It's like, you know that, but sometimes it's a really deep valley.
Yeah, right.
And
is it ever going to stop?
Right. And I feel like this year is just skidded me off in ways that I wasn't anticipating. And like, I just feel like I slid down for myself personally where I would like to be, down a lot further than I would think that, you know, obviously than I would like to be. So it's like, so you know that you have to prepare for the peaks and valleys, but it's like when you're in that valley, it's just so easy to like look back and why can't I figure this out, and just to be like down and in a darker place, and to like not know how to like climb out, and but also another good point of just realize when you're like, I'm scrambling here, I need to yell for somebody to grab my hand and help pull me out of this, and it doesn't make you a crappier person or a less strong person for asking somebody to help you out of a hole. You know what I mean?
Man, there's so many topics here. We could just keep going. Like, right? Why is that so hard?
I don't know.
Why is it so hard to ask for help? Like,
It totally
I
is.
struggle with that more than anything.
Yeah, you're really bad at that.
Oh my goodness.
You're like the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It may
It's
be
like you're
some
worried people are going to
societal
judge you
thing.
for it. Like somebody's going to be like, oh, you know, Josh, what a puss, because he asked for help. And like nobody thinks that but
That's
you.
what the monkey brain says.
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way. But it's just kind of like leaning into the help, though, which I feel like I'm doing this year and where I'm at currently. Oh, it just feels relieving of like, why did I deny myself this so long? I'm trying to be so strong of like, but it's strong to ask for help. It's strong to keep moving forward instead of set up camp down here and
Right.
live here forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like choose your strong.
Yep. That is, that's a whole conversation there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that we all struggle with stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where else do you want to go with this?
Well, and again, I guess just to put a little bow on it so we can end this thing.
Yeah.
is in those moments where it's really struggling and you're afraid to ask for help is to, again, look forward, not backwards.
Yep.
Of, even if you don't ask for help, again, like if you're in the valley, well, which way do you want to go? Because if you're in a valley, you got 2 mountains to climb. You're going to do the one you just did or do the one next? Because you don't know what's going on over the one next. Could be something freaking awesome. You already know what's behind you.
Uh-huh.
And so that's just kind of, where I'm at right now, at least, of like, I'm doing a good job now of trying not to quit focusing on and then my phone will show me these damn memories of like, oh my God, look at me doing all this crazy stuff at the gym. And I'm like, but I can't do that now. I can't even do a bridge. Like, I can't do a plank anymore. Of like, well, I could, what's the strength that my body could have moving forward? Like, why am I hung up on this body I had 3 years ago where I was strength wise of like, imagine taking everything I learned from having a messy couple years and what kind of different strength that I have, especially doing so much Pilates and stuff. And like we trained before we started recording of like smacking the idea of what I thought I should be doing for my body out of my head. Again, quit looking backwards, quit looking to the exercises that I loved before. They don't work anymore. Look forward. And who knows how strong in different ways I can be.
And those exercises could come back into play.
Yeah.
Once your body allows you and tells you that it's okay to do those exercises, then you go and do those exercises. It's not never, I can never do that again, right? I just can't do that right now.
Yeah.
I will work myself back up to being able to do that. Whatever that is for you, you got to determine what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's part of the process. It's part of the process.
Well, if you're listening to this
and you're not completely wondering what we're talking about.
Yeah. And, you don't want to be Josh and be a person that sucks at asking for help. You can ask Josh for help.
Yeah, exactly. I love helping other people.
Right? Josh won't ask for his own help, but you can ask Josh for help.
100%. Yeah, I will help you in any way I can.
So just the email is the best way, right?
Yep. It's info@Cincy with a Y 360fitness.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Yep. See ya.
For info on health coaching and more, go to AmandaValentineBites.com.